Hola mis estudiantes. Today we are going to talk about el imperfecto, or the imperfect, or the other past tense. So we've been working with the preterite, but now we're going to talk about the other past tense. So when we express things that we're not specifically emphasizing when something began or when it ended, we are going to use the imperfect. So I'm going to get into a little bit more detail with that as we go along. So, why is there more than one past tense? Well, in English, the preterite tense is called the simple past. And we've got some of those examples such as I studied, they ran, we ate. Okay, and those are our quote-unquote like ed endings. And in English, we have several irregulars such as ran and ate. We don't say runned and eated, but we say ran and ate. So we've got several irregular conjugations of those in English. So then we could also say I used to study or I was studying as opposed to I studied. We could also say they used to run or they were running. Same thing, we used to eat or they were eating. So that simple past tense we know is the preterite, and the other, I used to or was, is going to be the imperfect. So they cannot be used interchangeably. So here are some specific situations in which you are going to use the imperfect. When you talk about something that was happening, so we call these the wasing situations. When you talk about something that you used to do, I used to run on a daily basis, don't anymore. When you're talking about how old someone was, so specifically age, so I was 13 years old when I broke my arm. When you say I was 13, you're going to use the imperfect tense. What verb do we use when we are talking about someone's age in Spanish? Remember? Good. If you said tener, you are correct. You might want to add that in your notes if that was something that was hard for you to remember. And then if we're talking about telling what time it was when a specific event took place, or it was 7 o'clock when the phone rang, or the game, it was 3:30 when school got out. And remember, we use our verb ser when we're talking about what time it was. Alright, so here are our endings. And if you'll notice, we only have two sets of endings. Our AR verbs have their set of endings, and ER and IR verbs have the two of them are together. They both have the same set of endings. So we've got aba, abas, aba, abamos. We've got an accent on that first A, abais, and aban. Notice we've got some similarities with our conjugations, or our endings, in that the to form has an S, and the ellos, ellas, and ustedes has an N at the end. Same thing with that amos and the nosotros. So we're starting to see some patterns in our conjugations. It's important to note that the yo form and the el, a, and usted have the same ending. So if you say bailaba, that could mean I danced, or I was dancing, or it could also mean he or she was dancing. So it's important to use your subject or include your subject to specify who it is that you're talking about. Our ER and IR conjugations, notice they have an accent on all of the I's. We've got ia, ias, ia, iamos, iais, and ian. An accent on all of them. Alright, good news. We only have 3 irregulars in the whole entire tense. So that's why this tense is easy to learn in all one set of notes, because there are only 3 irregulars. Whereas the present tense, we've got a lot, as well as our preterite tense has a lot of irregular conjugations as well. But not so in the imperfect. So we've got our ser conjugations. Era, eras, era, éramos, accent on the E, erais, and eran. Ir, iba, ibas, iba, ibamos, ibais, iban. Notice an accent on the I of ir. And then, got cut off there. Move me real quick. There you go. Ver, you've got veía, veías, veía, veíamos, veíais, and veían. If you don't remember what ser, ir, and ver mean, you might want to look that up. So let's go ahead and our last piece. So here's some examples. Cuando yo era niña, when I was little, íbamos a la playa. We used to go to the beach. So we're talking about things that happened in the past, but we're not specifying when exactly they took place. We don't know exactly what day when I was young, but we're just saying in general when I was younger or when I was little, we used to go to the beach. So that's a good example for you. And then finally, here's an opportunity for you to practice. So I've got 5 conjugations that I would like for you to conjugate in the imperfect tense and tell me the translation. Now, remember what that was or used to, so your translations could be, you've got 2 options. So I'm going to ask that you go ahead and hit pause, and whenever you're ready, push play again, and we will check your answers. Alright, here we go. Los niños llorar would be, our conjugation would be lloraban. To vender, vendíais. Marta y yo ir would be íbamos. Notice we have an accent on that I. La familia vivir would be vivía. And mi abuela ser would be era. So let's talk through those 5 translations then. Lloraban. And I just randomly picked one. So lloraban could be the kids used to cry or the kids were crying. Number 2, vendíais. It could be you were selling or you used to sell. Íbamos. Marta and I used to go or we were going. La familia vivía. The family used to live or was living. And then finally, era, my grandpa used to be, or you can say my grandpa was. Okay. Please make sure you jot down any questions that you have. We're going to do lots of practice in the next couple class periods, and then we're going to talk about, well, when to use the preterite and when to use the imperfect. So the sooner you can get these conjugations down, the better off you're going to be. All right. Adios.